Well, it's another Friday here on
Woohoo!
the Ultra Live Show. Welcome.
Love Friday.
As we get warmed up. Maeve, speaking of warmed up, I guess we're the number one weather related tech show on the
Yes,
internet.
yes.
Because most of our conversations end up starting with weather. Maeve, you just looked out the window and you said what to me about 2 minutes
Well,
ago?
yes, it is snowing again. I am in the
Good.
Philadelphia area, which I'm very excited about because what happens where I am, it snows, melts. It's just like brown grass outside. So whenever there's like snow to cover it, it's the vibes are good.
Well, on a scale of like 1 to 10, 10 being like you're in Disney World and the vibes are super chill. Where are you right now?
I'm probably like a 6.
Okay.
I'm like not in Disney World, but I'm happy it's Friday. I'm glad it's snowing. Because it's snowing, it's easier for the birds to get food at our bird feeder. So there has been a lot of like cute birds, and like colorful ones because my dad like researches the bird seed, gets the specific bird seed to attract the certain birds.
Really?
So we're seeing some bluebirds, yeah, some bluebirds, which I always like find so exciting because it's only up till recently that we knew what seed they like.
Yeah.
So it's like pretty rare to see a bluebird, but they come up, and then cardinals and sometimes blue jays. But I don't like blue jays because they are bullies.
Yeah, dude, they're jerks.
They're mean.
I didn't realize they were like actual birds during the winter up there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just like you just have to kind of keep your eye out and actually go looking for them or get that right seed because if they're not gonna like come to you because it's so cold, so they'll just kind of do their own thing unless you have something to offer.
Of course. Huh. That's fascinating. What else is like around during the winter months?
It's you probably a lot of like chickadees and
Okay.
I love the chickadees. Cardinals, blue jays. Yeah, the bluebirds.
Mhm.
It's just you gotta keep your eyes peeled. I don't think like a lot of them, like some migrate, but I see a lot in the winter.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you've been following along, we're hitting all of the
Birding
right.
show.
Yeah, we're hitting all of the right buttons. We are now an ornithology show as well. Uh, and with that, I think we're going to kick into the Ultra Live show for today. Welcome, ladies and
Hello,
gentlemen, to
everyone.
this episode number, what are we on, 17 of the Ultra Live
Yeah,
show?
that's crazy.
Wow. Thanks for having me, Maeve. Thanks for having me here.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for joining us. I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely. It's been a cool week with Ultra Live. We've had a lot going on. We've heard a lot of cool stories actually from everybody that's been Ultra Live is growing, which is crazy awesome. And so we're getting a lot of kind of customer stories and reviews and things that are coming back to us. So thanks everybody for just being part of the family and for jumping in with something that actually matters to people around you, and that's engagement, and that's creating community, and most importantly doing it with a church, doing it with a faith structure around it. So thanks everybody for doing that. It's very cool. Very, very, very cool. We actually next week we're going to have a very special interview with one of the very first Ultra Live users. Actually, I don't know if you knew that, but Thane has been around since the very beginning, which is
Yes.
totally awesome. So we're going to be
I
talking about
always
that.
appreciate his comments on social media. Always very encouraging.
I think we'll need to tell him that because so every Thursday, Stephanie Leith, the CEO of Ultra Live, and I do an Ask Us Anything in our Facebook group and on our Facebook page. And Thane jumped in there and was just very effusive and very happy about everything. And then he got off the line, got out of the Facebook room, and I just looked at Stephanie. I said, "Man, he's just a bundle of joy." So Thane, you're going to get to jump on with us next week, and we're going to talk about that. But hey, that's next week. Before we get going this week, Maeve and I were kind of talking during pre-production. I think it was yesterday, and kind of
Hmm.
trying to figure out some hot button issues. Not necessarily not politics. We didn't want to
Yeah.
talk, COVID. We didn't want to talk
No,
left or
no, no.
right. We wanted to talk something that was more deeply
Yes.
entrenched within us. Maeve, would you like to introduce the topic before we get to the actual topic?
Yes, well, we're talking all about movies. Kind of January, like winter, is kind of like the movie season. All the movies like start coming out around this time, and then also if you're into like the awards stuff, like it's awards season.
Hmm?
As Moira Rose says, "What's your favorite season?" Awards.
Award season.
Awards. So I think movies, and we're we have a movie podcast in the works. JK. We're
Maybe,
always talking about that.
maybe not
Maybe
JK.
one day. Yeah, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, God willing.
JK,
Yeah.
but but yeah, we're talking about movies, especially ones that we thought going in were going to be really good
Uh
and then
huh.
just ended up being really bad and disappointing because I think we all have been in this situation. I have my movie and I'll go first, but I'm also really curious, Andy, what yours is.
Well,
So,
go first, and
okay.
then I'll kind of give the big reveal.
Okay. I'll try not to rant too long because Andy, you've already heard my rant about this movie. So there was a movie that came out in 2020, so pretty recent, called Wild Mountain Thyme. And guys, it had every like ingredient where it could be a good movie. You have the poster with Emily Blunt and Jamie Dornan like looking like they're about to kiss in the rain. Already, like, good sign. Like, I already want to watch it. And then it's set in Ireland, so really nice cinematography. I'm hoping there'll be some like Irish flute kind of like Celtic vibes. That's my first want. And so I'm like ready for a good romantic, sappy, with good actors kind of vibe. I'm watching this movie. The dialogue is so weird. The like it is the weirdest dialogue I've ever heard in my life. Emily Blunt's Irish accent is so bad.
Which is
Which and
weird
I
because she's English.
yes, and she's a really, really talented actor, and I was just expecting that. But I guess it goes to show that like you if the directing's bad and the writing's bad, like you're goodbye. Like it's just but okay. If you don't want spoilers, like plug your ears.
Yeah.
I'll let you listen.
Spoiler warning here. Let me.
Yeah,
What do
I'll
I
give
have? I have. Uh, maybe I can give like a spoiler warning.
and I'll do like thumbs up when
Yeah.
you can like listen again. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Okay. So Emily Blunt and Jamie Dornan, it's kind of like, oh, are they, will they, won't they? Kind of, are they going to get together and figure out their land dispute? All that good stuff. At the end, Jamie Dornan's crying, and like Emily Blunt's trying to like figure out like why can't we get together? We've known each other our whole lives. We're kind of a perfect match, and it's this seemingly really emotional scene, but then the whole movie has just been super weird. So I'm like, I have no idea what to expect. And so finally, Emily Blunt is like, dude, are you gay? Like, if you're gay and we can't be together, it's fine. And he's like, no, I'm not gay. It's just, and he's like sobbing. He's like, it's just that I, I think I'm a honeybee. And I was like, what? And Emily Blunt's like, huh? And he's like, yeah, I think I'm a honeybee. That's why I can't be with you.
Oh.
And then she's like, well, that's okay.
Oh.
We can be together. And then he's like, okay. And then they get together.
Oh.
And that movie ended, and I was like, what did I just watch?
I love it. I love it so much.
Thumbs up.
Yeah, thumbs up.
Spoiler for
Thumbs up for the honeybees out there. That's
that.
Maeve. Like, so she was telling me that yesterday, and like I'm still laughing at the premise of this movie that was supposedly like it had really good actors in it. Did you
It
say
had stacked cast. It was
yeah.
so Emily Blunt,
Uh-huh.
Jamie Dornan, who's like, he's a good actor, but Christopher Walken,
Christopher Walken.
and the guy who wrote it, John Patrick Shanley, it was originally a play. John Patrick Shanley is an amazing playwright. He wrote Doubt, and then he also wrote Moonstruck, which is an iconic, wonderful movie. So I'm having high hopes for JPS, and then I'm watching his movie, and I'm just like, John, what happened?
Yep. Okay, I'm gonna go.
Yeah, okay,
And this is
sorry.
an this is gonna be a layup, I think. Um,
Okay,
and you'll understand why I say it's a layup in a minute. So I am a big sci-fi nerd. I'm a nerd all over, just top to
okay,
bottom. I'm a video gamer. I played D&D, still play D&D occasionally, played Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, all sorts of video games. And with that comes a lot of sci-fi as well, plus fantasy, Lord of the Rings, and all that. And Lord of the Rings is
yeah,
not the movie. Trust me, it's not. It's not
okay.
that. And it's
Phew.
not. It's not even The Hobbit. Even
Okay,
though,
okay,
like,
yeah.
I've got issues with The Hobbit and why they took one children's book and made it into three movies, but that's neither here nor there. I understand it's a money grab.
Yeah,
The biggest disappointment in a movie fashion to me is Star Wars
okay.
Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. And here's why.
Oh, yeah,
It's
okay,
I've got two reasons. Number 1, Jar Jar. Okay? Enough said.
okay,
Number 2,
yes.
baby snot-nosed Anakin. What the heck are they doing with snot-nosed Anakin Skywalker? It was insanely bad. It was bad casting. It was a bad movie. It was a letdown to every single human being in the world, I feel
Yeah,
like, because they wanted to do what? Make more money?
yeah.
Episode 1 was bad. Episode 2 was okay. Episode 3 was god awful. And yet, here we are still saying that the Star Wars franchise, this is the strength of the Star Wars franchise. It
Mhm.
still holds up because 4, 5, and 6 were so good. And then 7, 8, and 9 had merits. But
Yeah,
those
okay,
first three should have tanked every
yeah.
single every single other Star Wars thing after that. Your thoughts, Maeve?
Okay, well, first, are you saying that you hate Jar Jar Binks?
I think he's the worst character in
Okay,
all of
good.
film
Okay,
history.
good. Because I've met people who are like, "What? I love Jar Jar Binks." Like, I could not. Like, I watched, like, I did a marathon, like, the first time I was like, all right, we're gonna watch. Like, I'd seen the first three a bunch of times, but I was like, I'd never seen whatever the technical first three, whatever. Anyway, I was like, I could not even believe it. It was just so painful to watch. But
Hmm.
I will say, it is a testament. They're like, it just shows how good of an actress Natalie Portman
Oh
is,
yeah, 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 yeah.
because if she was able to take that, like, garbage script and turn it into a character that, like, people love,
Yep.
like, girl, go girl.
Absolutely. I want to give a quick honorable mention, and then I think we got to go.
Yeah,
The
sorry. The
the
movie
I
podcast
know
segment.
we'll start it on like a Wednesday or something. The honorable mention here for me is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory with Johnny Depp. Terrible.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, I will say that my only thought about that is, though, I haven't seen it in a while, but I do remember it being like it being a little bit more accurate to the books, which I will give, like, kind of credit for that, but yeah, no. Not no, no, no.
No, it never deserved
It's
to be
bad.
made. I can't stand Johnny Depp in most things, and him taking my beloved Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and ruining it, squishing it between his hands like that.
Ooh,
I don't know that
that's
I've
a
ever forgiven him.
wow, I can tell you're very passionate about this issue.
I am. Speaking of passionate about issues, we're very passionate about. I'm trying to segue there. Is that
That was
working?
such a good segue.
Thanks, I appreciate that. Speaking of being passionate about the issues, we're incredibly passionate today about this issue. We want to make sure
Yeah.
that you can lead your best event with Alter Live. In all seriousness, the platform, it lives or dies. Well, what you're doing on the platform lives or dies by your events. They're
Mhm.
literally the bread and butter of what we're doing. And so today we wanted to, Maeve and I kind of want to walk you through some tips and tricks for some leadership,
Mhm.
kind of some ways to really help your your attendees, your members, your visitors, everybody feel a little bit more at home, and more than that, to feel like they're part of your community and to grow into what you're doing as a church and organization. Did I get it right there, Maeve?
Yes, you did
Fantastic.
great.
So we're going to transition over to the screen view here. And you can see we're in our very first event. So, Maeve, kick us off here. What would your first kind of tip or trick be when you're trying to host an event?
Right. So I think before you kind of get into the like actual event space, you kind of have to first get in the right mindset. And so we've crafted these like almost like a leadership host philosophy kind of thing um, that we just want to go over before we talk about like the different features you can use to help your event.
Mm,
Um, so I think the first one that's one of the most important is purposefully host.
mm,
And so this can be shown in a lot of different ways. And there can be really, really simple. Like it doesn't have to be this complicated thing because when people are personal and take the time to be personal and purposeful and just really be like, hi, I'm a person on the other side of the screen. I'm not a robot. I'm here, even if you can't necessarily see me or you can only see me in camera. I'm here and I want to help you and I want to worship with you. And that's that.
mm,
So, really simple stuff. So, the first one is you just want to introduce yourself. And so, this could be, really easy in the main chat or it could be just talking to someone face to face on in a row or a room or a lobby or whatever. Just taking that extra step. Yeah. So as you can see in that first when you first log onto event, you have your this really great product tour
mm,
that will just take you if you're new for the first time and you're joining Altar Live event that will take you through the event space and show you exactly what you need to do, where you can find everything. And yeah, perfect. Because you're ready to join. Andy is ready to join.
I am.
um, so as a host or even as someone who is joining the event, it's just really easy to pop into the main chat and be like, hi, I'm Maeve from, Philadelphia area, and I'm excited to be here today. Or you can direct message someone, or you can even direct message the host if you're a guest joining, and the hosts are there to be with you. And as a host, you automatically are entered into like the greater team chat, which
Mm.
is really helpful.
And that's new. That's relatively new.
Yeah. Hmm.
See, I'm even going to type it. This is new. Now it's in stone. It has to be new.
um, what do you think about that, Andy? Because I know it can be hard sometimes. Like if you're on kind of the screen, you're like, oh, why is it so important for me to introduce myself? Like no one can really see me if they don't want me to. So like, why even bother? I mean,
Yeah,
as a host, it's really important, but
yeah, and one of the things that I think that we're going to bump into a lot when in this discussion, and kind of the things that we're bumping into, it's funny. There is a Slack channel that we have open for quotes that we get and kind of pain points that a lot of our Altar Live subscribers are running into, or were running into before Altar Live, and kind of all of that. And a lot of the quotes and things that we see coming back is people are trying to be known. Everybody that's attending is wants to be known, because part of being online and part of being in a chat area is that you can kind of hide behind an avatar, and
Mhm.
there's a certain level of anonymity that automatically is there. But most people that are joining your events want you to know them, and the first step to knowing them is them knowing you. Because how many times have you gone to a website and you see in the lower right hand corner over here, that little chat blurb pop up and it says, "Hi, I'm Jimmy. Would you like
Mhm.
help with whatever?" And like you and I both know that that's not a real person. You want to walk in, or you want to sit down in an event and you want to log into a chat and know that there's somebody real that is from your church or from a church that is actually there, that actually wants to talk with you, that actually at some point is going to want to pray with you. It just makes being purposeful, or it makes hosting a lot easier. It opens up conversation a lot quicker when you do it with the purpose of making yourself known.
Mhm. Exactly. And you can do this, like, even during the service, before in the lobby, if you see people sitting at a table,
Mm,
pop in maybe and be like, "Hi, I just wanna check in. I'm Maeve. I'm a, host and greeter, so if you have any questions, let me know." Or, "How are you guys doing today? Are you looking forward to the service? We're gonna be talking about whatever. What do you think about that?"
mm,
Just having, because we're so used to, like, when you're in a physical church building, you go into the lobby, either you have the people who go straight into the event, don't look at me, don't look at me, or you have the people who will mingle in the lobby and catch up with people. So we Altar Live really provides that space, and you as hosts and greeters really should take advantage to that, to kind of have that natural, um, time
mm.
of kind of mingling in the event space or in the lobby, before and after an event, to help kind of make that really nice transition, like that nice flow we're used to when we're in a physical space. It's possible on Altar Live because we have, these features.
That's good.
Okay,
I like that.
moving on. Uh, Moving on. So the next one is be specific.
Mm,
So answer kind of the unspoken questions of why you're gathering today, or what you're going to be talking about or doing during your time. It might seem really obvious, but people like that structure of knowing exactly what they're getting into. And this can be, shown in a lot of different forms. You can have someone maybe like on the screen kind of talking to people as they're sitting in, or you have these awesome pre-event slides that, Andy put as an example.
mm.
And you always have the chat too. The chat is a really quick and easy way. And then announcements are also really, really helpful too. Sorry, I'm making you go all over. But the announcements are really helpful. Even, creating like a video for the pre-event slide, because
Yeah.
that's possible too, to tell people what to do. Just so people, because it can be really daunting if you're entering, an online space, because there's this weird like feeling of removal of being like, oh, I'm not actually there, so I don't actually know what's going on. And if I'm not sitting down or I'm not at a table, like, I can see kind of what's happening, but I feel like just an onlooker. So if you take that extra step, really simple step, and just be like, hey, we're all gonna meet, in the lobby after this worship, song,
Mm.
or take a seat, as you come in, and you can do this by doing that. All just these little, hints to people as they enter in, just so they'll feel more comfortable and know exactly what they're getting into, because online can, be daunting.
Well, and not only that, but I think you touched on it where you said, the idea that you're trying to direct people around, that bleeds into number three, which
Right.
is give directions. You want to make sure that you are giving specific instructions, because yes, when you first log in, you're going to get that product walkthrough that we saw a couple minutes ago. You're going to get that, but it takes sometimes 3 and 4 and 5 times. I mean, any of you out there that have kids, you know that it takes 3 and 4 and 5 times of reminding your kids that they need to do 15 different things, let alone with a platform that people are logging into that they may not actually know what to do with. So, it's one of those things that you're going to need to continue to lead people. And part of being a leader, this is one of the coolest things that I've learned in my years of my many long years of being a leader, is that your job is to cast vision. Your job is to leader. All leadership is influence, and influence is bad, and influence can be used for good. So your job as the leader, or as the host, or as the greeter, which you're essentially a leader, your job is to influence the people around you to become part of your community. How are you going to do that? You're going to be specific in your instructions, and you're going to make sure that you're clear that by turning on a camera, or by clicking a seat, your camera is going to turn on, and you'll be able to talk with those in your row. Or if you're at a table at a lobby, you'll be able to talk with those at the table. You can click on, etc., etc., etc. Your job as the leader is to influence people so that as they continue to show up to your church, as they continue to show up to your events or your meetings or your lobbies, they are more comfortable and they're able to be a little bit more vulnerable, because that's when community actually happens, is when all of these things like occur. Sorry, I just got distracted by the video switching. I was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
did something happen? No, it's fine.
No, no,
Uh,
no.
Working as intended. So
Yes,
does
yes.
does that
Everything's
does that
good.
make sense? Am I rambling a little bit?
No, that's good. That's good. And it kind of leads into that our next one, our last
Am I
one, but
rambling?
certainly not least. What?
Nope, sorry, that was me just flipping into the chat over here.
Oh, okay. So the fourth one is show don't tell. It
Yes.
kind of goes into the whole like be specific, give directions thing, and kind of goes into like you are the leader, so whatever you tell them to do, you should be doing as well.
Yes,
So that kind of
absolutely.
goes into that whole, if you want people to take a seat, you should take a seat as well
Hmm.
because that is the best way to set an example. And if you have a really solid team around you, you use that greeter group chat, you use the host notes, which is a new feature that allows you to, as hosts, to come up with different bullet points or things to remember. Um, if you use those materials and resources, you can create a really strong, yeah, perfect. You can type hook notes, which is really helpful because if you need to remember certain things or for new greeters, remember this, remember to take a seat, remember to turn on your camera. It's just a really helpful resource to help you as host create an environment that people actually want to be a part of. Because if you the host are saying all right everyone take a seat and you're kind of sitting in the on the side, people are going to be like, well, they're not doing it and they're
Hmm.
the leaders, so why should I? So if you kind of work on that team mentality and be like, okay, as a creator team, we're going to take a seat, we're going to spread out, we're going to be intentional and reach out to people, people will respond to that. And it might take a little while because fully gaining people's trust online and also just like trying to get something going can take a while. I always like to say it's a marathon, not a sprint. You're
Yep.
not going to have a tight community as soon as you start something. Just like in regular life, you're not going to meet some, I mean, it's very rare you meet someone instantly and you're like, okay, I'm going to divulge all of my secrets to you. If that person if any person does that to you, just be like, okay, girl, stop.
Girl, please.
Girl, as
Or
my
or
sister says,
homie.
never in my days.
Really? What is she,
Yeah,
like an 85-year-old Southerner?
yeah, sometimes.
Huh. I like that. I dig that. Never in my
Um,
days have I ever.
exactly.
Cool.
Uh,
Yeah, that's good. I guess when you say model interaction, so
mhm.
what part of, like, what is the, my dogs are barking now. What part
Love it.
of leading versus interacting versus kind of, where's the, what's in your head, like what's the percentage split, like how much do I have to be copying notes in, because that's part of like something interesting is
Mhm.
pulling host notes out, like what's the percentage, what do you recommend?
I always want to think of it as being just a resource for
Mm,
people. Um, I want them to know that I'm there. I want them to be able to feel comfortable reaching out to me or talking to me if they have any questions or just want to talk in general because this is a fellowship space.
hmm.
Obviously, I would want to have like a set kind of you know, maybe this leadership philosophy, just so I can refer to it as a leader and be like, how can I serve people today? How can I be most helpful? Just kind of maybe on the technical behind the scenes side, but I would just want to make myself readily available. So I would be in a seat or at a table. I probably wouldn't kind of be in the on the side. I would probably be just in a place where people can see me, be like, okay, there is Maeve, there is Andy. I can go and talk to them and ask questions or talk or ask to, pray, just so they'd be able to see where I am and I won't be like off in the side. Because I find when you're in the side, I feel like you're a little less accessible
Hmm.
because you're kind of you're in like a list of people. You kind of have to scroll down and find who. But if I'm just at a table chilling, I feel like it's so much more inviting to hop in rather than having to find me in the list of contacts on the side and then do the direct message. So I would suggest just make yourself accessible and
Hmm.
available, and do that by taking a seat, sitting at a table, while also sending things in the chat. And they can be really, really fun things like "Love this song,"
Hmm.
"Who," "This is my favorite hymn," rather than instructions all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've got some tips written down here, and actually that kind of
Mhm.
bleeds. I didn't intentionally try to steer you that way, so good job walking right into it. But the one of the biggest tips we always can give people is when you're doing an event, don't start it with logistics. So don't automatically come out of the gate swinging, saying like, okay, we're going to do, hey everybody, I'm Andy, now we're going to do this and this and this and this, because people are going to get lost. Instead, you want to create a sense of belonging. You want to create a sense of gathering, of kind of this organic community. And the next question you may have is like, well, how do I do that when I'm in a digital platform, when all I'm doing is clicking buttons and things like that? And that's where you have to get creative, and that's where you have to know your community just a little bit. Maeve was spot on when she was saying, making sure that you're in the chat saying like, man, I love this song, or this is, this scripture, what do you think about this? And what I'm typically trying to do as a digital pastor is I don't really necessarily care what people are posting, obviously within reason. If it's, we don't want any, explicit material or, things like that. But I don't really care necessarily what people are posting in the chat, just as long as they are engaging in the chat to start. That's where kind of the top of the funnel is. And then as you get further into your event or further into your service or further towards the point of the why, whatever you're doing that day or that event or that stream, you then want to be able to guide people. But first and foremost, just get them talking. Ask them how their day is going. Ask them what they've been doing for the weekend, or for their weekend, or what is upcoming. Ask them. One of the biggest things I love doing is asking people in the chat, where have you seen God moving lately?
Mm,
And it usually, a lot of people won't answer. And then a couple of people will, because they're the brave ones, because, we all know Chatty Cathy's. But then, it's true. But then you'll be shocked when somebody pops in and says, God woke me up this morning and I have air in my lungs. And then somebody else pops in and
mm,
says, oh my goodness, this is I'm so thankful for the new car that God gave me. And then it just kind of rolls, and there's a snowball effect. But if you start your event
totally.
with logistics, we're getting spammed right now, that's pretty awesome. If you start your event with logistics, uh, people aren't going to talk. They're going to be lost. They're going to jump off the train. They're going to feel like they're one of those spam bots that's spamming us right now.
Mhm,
They're going to feel like you're just accomplishing nothing. So
mhm.
start your event with logistics.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Um, and then talking a little bit, Andy, you actually mentioned this. Use a cold open. I'm
Yep.
curious to know what you mean about that because I'm thinking, since we have these awesome pre-event slides, that can be where you put your
Hmm.
logistics. Like you don't even have to talk about it. Put it in the slides, and then start the conversation in the chat. So people have something to look at real quick, but then move on to the nice, welcoming fellowship environment. But
Yep.
then what do you mean by cold open?
So one of the funniest things that ever started happening with sitcom television was the cold open, and you can. The Office is a prime example. The U.S. Office, the UK Office to a certain extent, but the U.S. Office, what typically would happen they had 121 episodes, or what, I think it was 121, 123 episodes, and in pretty much all of them, they had like a 2 minute, 2 to 5 minute, well, it's usually 2 to 3 minute thing before the credits even rolled, before the actual episode even started, of something that was pretty much not related to the rest of the episode. It was
Mhm.
a non sequitur. It was, something funny. It was designed to grab your attention and either make you laugh or make you feel bad. Most of the time it was Kevin walking up the stairs and dumping a pot of chili all over the floor, and him giving this eloquent monologue about how it was mother's recipe, and meanwhile it's a picture of him like taking a folder and trying to scrape all this chili back into
Um,
his pot.
devastating.
Yeah, I mean,
Just devastating.
devastated, and he's like, the look he has on his face as he's got chili all over the front of his suit is the best. But it accomplished what it needed to accomplish, because like the rest of the episode had nothing to do with Kevin, nothing to do with chili, but it captured your imagination, it captured your attention, and brought you into it. Do that with your church, whether that is with your slides, whether that is with a video open that is just, you don't have to have high production. Most people aren't looking for super high production anyway. Even, Hollywood stars are doing things on their phone. Set up your phone. If you're the pastor or leader or host, set up your phone, give like a 30-second, hey, I'm so glad you're here. We're in the Tampa area, so I would talk briefly about, man, it's really stinks to see the Buccaneers lost, that type of thing. And Tom Brady, is he coming back? I don't know. Throw it in the chat. Hey, we're going to get on with our service. We'll see you in a little bit. And then your event starts to roll. Doesn't really have anything to do with the service itself, but captures the people that are watching, creates a sense of shared belonging, and allows you as a host to really speak into people just a little bit more.
I love that. I love how you compare that to The Office, because The Office cold opens are the
They're
best.
legendary. I mean, and
They're
think about it,
amazing.
like everything that happens in those cold open, and this is a complete non sequitur, but I got the book, the history of the office, whatever. It was kind of the right when the pandemic started. It was like the
Oh,
walkthrough of
fun.
the office. It was amazing. I still got it upstairs somewhere, but um, it talked about Mike Schur, the one of the co-writers and co-creators of The Office, talked about what that cold open was designed to accomplish, and that's that exact thing of, we just want to make
Mhm.
people laugh, but more than that, we want them to get clued in a little bit on who these characters are. Not necessarily motivation or anything like that, just who the character is, and we want to capture the audience. And that was one of the biggest
Right.
successes, because they didn't really do that in the first season, and then they started doing it in the second season, and by the third season they hit their stride. So
Right.
same thing with
Yeah.
your church. You don't have to have a perfected thing, but just start to roll it in every now and then and watch as your event blossoms.
I love it. All right. Our last one is close intentionally.
Mm.
And this one is kind of similar to that whole like give directions, be specific, purposefully host. Because if you kind of end your service abruptly and then everyone just kind of let everyone like, oh, like fend for yourself, go into the lobby, or if you move everyone into the lobby without them knowing, it can be really jarring
Yep.
and almost and completely throw off the flow of your event and all of that hard work you did at the beginning of having the cold open and creating a really warm space. It'll just be gone because people will be like, that was a weird ending. So think of think of something that will have a really nice finish.
Mm.
After the last song or after the sermon, have either like a little message from the pastor or something separate, like just for the digital audience, if it's a hybrid situation,
Mm.
where you can be like, okay, we're gonna after we're gonna maybe have some time for prayer and reflection, and then we're gonna move you into the lobby. Just be specific and let them know what's gonna happen, and what they're getting into, because you don't want people to be like confused of what happened after they had a really really nice time in the service, because people will kind of always remember the last thing of something. So if it's gonna be weird, that's all they're gonna remember.
Yep.
um yeah, so don't just let the music fade. Let kind of give like a really nice benediction and tell them, all right, we're going to move into the lobby,
Mm.
or well, thank you so much for joining us. You can exit. You could be like, if you need help exiting, you press this button at the bottom. Or, come on, guys, let's go into the lobby. And Andy and Maeve and whoever else is gonna be at a table if you guys want to talk.
Yep.
Just something to let people know what's happening, so
Yep.
they're not confused.
And that's done. I mean, you can best do that with announcements.
Hmm.
That's kind of the best way to take care of that, because a lot of people aren't going to be watching the chat the whole time like you are, just because that's kind of the nature of everything. So by using an announcement, you'll be able to, even if people are in the polls area, or if they've kind of clicked out of the whole, this sidebar is gone and they're not seeing the chat. If you use a modal, excuse me, announcement, which will pop up right here. Hey, everybody, we're moving to the lobby in 10 seconds or whatever. Then as people move to the lobby, there's not a weird whiplash effect. Instead,
Mhm.
they're just ready to go with you. So that's kind of the best way to take care of that. One other thing I would also say is that closing the closing is almost as important as the opening. You don't want people to be leaving your event or your service with a bad taste in their mouth. One of the most frustrating things in the world is when you're watching something and you feel like there may have been just a little bit left, but your browser closes or your internet freezes up. Even if you and I know that it was just, you were just rolling credits at the end, or you were rolling more slides, people want to have that sense of finality. So make sure that you, as the host or greeter or leader, are willing to stay around, even if you're not going to the lobby. Make sure you're willing to stay around for a couple of minutes in the chat to follow up, especially if you're asking for prayers. People aren't as fast a typer as you. They're not going to be clued in as to how to use their camera. And so if towards the end of an event you're asking for prayers and all that, hang around for a little bit. That's part of closing intentionally. Don't just log out, close your laptop, and then go get lunch or whatever you're doing.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, it's all about having a really nice, like, bookended experience. If you start right, end right.
Absolutely. If you start right, end right. I like that, Maeve. That's a good mantra for living, I think. You start
That's
right,
what,
you end right.
yeah, that's
And
apparently what my great grandfather used to say.
that's good. I like that.
Yeah.
Was he like a Depression era great grandfather?
He was a World War II chaplain.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
Oh, for what branch?
That's a great question.
Cool. Well, on that note, we're not going to end so well.
Disappointed my entire family just now.
That's okay. That's okay. The honor and legacy that you're keeping is alive and well, Dave, because you did so great on this episode of the Altar Live Show. We're going to end this one as well as we started, with this amazing song and our amazing theme tune. Maeve, you're the best. Enjoy your snow. Thanks
You're
so
the
much
best.
Aw, shucks. Thanks so much for being here today, Maeve.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We'll see y'all later. If you ever need anything at all, if we can ever help, throw it in the chat or the comments. Hit us up on our socials. All of the information is in the description below this video, along with affiliate links for Ecamm and for Vimeo. If you want to start saving money on your subscriptions all over the place, head down there, click all the links, do all the things. We love you. Thanks so much for being part of the Altar Live fam. We'll talk to you soon.